right, y'all. We in the kitchen. We are in the kitchen. Yes, we are. Here we go, yo. What's up, you guys? We're in the kitchen with Miss P. Just wanted to kind of check in a little bit with y'all. So I'm preparing a little something to eat here. Getting into spring. So we're getting prepared for our spring cleaning phase. And I know diet is a big deal for some of us. I myself have really kind of been struggling with my diet over the past couple years, you know, dealing with, you know, everything, all the emotional and psycho-emotional traumas of dealing with the COVID virus and things like that. And, you know, slipping into some, you know, I've always been an emotional eater. Some things I've overcome in the past. I recognize that I had some unhealthy eating habits that were largely due in part to stress eating and eating for emotional comfort and things like that. So the good thing is I've been clean and clear in the past, and even though it's a bit of a struggle, you know, I really desire to be in that space. I know how good it feels to have my body filled with you know, fresh foods and really be able to access a lot of light energy. So I'm kind of craving that. And especially now that I'm dealing with some physical ailments, you know, dealing with some issues. I always know that diet is like a primary factor in health and wellness. So that's typically one of my first lines of defense in terms of staying healthy and helping to heal any issues that might be going on. You know, it's kind of pointless to get into a bunch of other, you know, remedies if you're not addressing the diet first. So I'm working to get myself back to a more healthy place with my diet, and for me that definitely involves eating more living foods. You know, I am in the desert right now, so it's a lot more critical for me. I usually live in heavy water environments. You know, I live really close to water, so there's a lot of moisture in the air, and you can kind of get away with eating certain things because the environment is very supportive. But here in the desert, you know, for me, the environment is not very supportive of maintaining hydration and things like that. So it's even more critical that I align with a living foods diet, because that's when you're going to get access to that intracellular water that the foods hold. So why do we get, what's the importance, like what's the big deal of a raw foods diet? It's, you know, that water is such a key factor. You see me here working with this little itty bitty knife, trying to slice these cucumbers in a certain way. I've already done the carrots, and I'm gonna wrap these up in a wrap. You know, I do have a flour tortilla, but that's what I have available right now. So we do the best we can with what we have available. So I'm gonna use that flour tortilla, which is not something I would generally use, but I have it now, so I'm gonna go ahead and use it. And just make sure I fill it with raw foods. So it's gonna be about, I'm just gonna say it's gonna be about a 90% raw meal that I eat here. And so I contemplated cooking the carrots, because I'm gonna wrap these up in a flour tortilla. And these were some baby carrots that I actually tried to slice very thin so that they wrap up very well. And you'll notice they're kind of hard. Well, not as, you know, they're kind of hard. And I considered cooking them just a bit. And then I'm meditating on and contemplating on that transition that food makes as we cook it. What is it, you know, if we look up carrots, you can look up the percentage of water that carrots hold. There's certain foods, like for instance, your mushrooms, they're like 90% water. These cucumbers, high concentration of water content. Say cucumbers are about anywhere from 70 to 80% water. 70 to 80% water. And look how firm and sturdy this cucumber is. You know, we know what a cucumber looks like, and we know what water looks like. So I don't know about you, but it really makes me contemplate, like, wow, how can this firm, this is actually a fruit, actually be like 80% water? So, you know, I don't know the exact percentage, we'll look it up. But the high percentage of water that it holds for it to be so firm and solid, right? Because we know water to be a liquid. And that's when I contemplated that in that process of cooking our vegetables, what allows them to become so soft and tender is that they begin to release their water content. And then you think about it like, wow, this sturdy, let me pull another one out here that's not cut. this firm and sturdy carrot. You know, we'll look up the percentage. What percentage of water is a carrot? And I'm pretty sure carrots have a somewhat high percentage of water content, but we'll find out later. But if you think about it, you know, carrots are so firm and sturdy. We can snap it, you know, it's so firm and sturdy. But when we cook the carrots, they get really soft and, you know, translucent almost. And so that made me realize what happens is the cooking process releases the water from the foods. So therefore, the water is what's primarily responsible for holding the form and almost the function of these vegetables and fruits. So by cooking food, we release the water from the food, and then we're left with, you know, the other materials, the fibrous materials. But what holds the form and function of these fruits and vegetables is the water content that they hold. So when we eat foods that have been primarily cooked, all the water has been removed from the foods. So we're left with nothing basically but the solid, one could almost say, waste of the food materials. That's all that we have left. So that's why it's so important, if you want to live and enjoy a long and healthy life, that we consume as much living food as possible. You know, what people will also call raw foods. I prefer to call them living foods because it really helps to key into my mind exactly what I'm doing. I'm not just trying out some fad diet so I can seem cool and more elite than other people that eat other things, like, oh, I'm on a raw foods diet, I'm vegan, I'm this, I'm that. It's not about a label for me. At this point, it's not even primarily about looking a certain way. Now, when you eat a certain way, your body is going to change shape. You know, by eating more raw foods, you will most likely begin to release a lot of the waste that your body has been carrying, which gets stored up in fat. So as you begin to release that waste, yeah, you're going to also see a reduction in the amount of fat that your body is holding on to. So you will naturally, most likely, lose some weight. If you had previously been holding on to a lot of waste, you're going to see that come off as you start to as you change your diet and you have a primarily living foods diet. So that is a natural outcome of having this type of diet, but it certainly isn't the goal. It's a welcome, what would you say? It's a very welcome, outcome. I can't think of the word, effect. It's a very welcome effect of having this type of diet. I'm really going to appreciate that because it feels good to not be carrying so much weight and waste on the body. Energy likes to move, and the heavier your body is, the more waste that you're holding on to your body, it limits your ability to move. And that is not good for life force energy. Life force energy loves to move. So if you're limiting your body's energetic ability to move, you're going to begin to see illness develop in the form of, aches and pains and issues in your joints and muscle tissues and things like that are going to begin to develop. These are just natural outcomes of a certain lifestyle. So I just wanted to, share that, and maybe somebody else can ponder that fact and be mindful of that, especially as we head into spring and we'll be on into summer. The temperatures are going to be rising. It's going to be hotter. For some of us, it's going to be a lot harder to get that necessary hydration. I myself very often struggle with staying hydrated. So I just want to share that reminder of eating to live. Eating to live is going to involve eating living foods, or what some people like to call raw foods. Maybe you could consider changing your vocabulary around that as well, and calling them what they are, which is also living foods, not just raw foods, living foods. The more living foods you eat, the more life force energy your cells are going to have. When you have a living foods diet, you have to prepare your foods. They're not prepackaged and prepared and preserved for you. You have to prepare your foods, which means often by hand. So you're putting a lot of your own life force energy into the preparation of the food. That's also what makes the food healthy. So when we're eating these packaged foods and, all these prepared foods, number one, if somebody else is cooking for you, you want to be mindful of the energy that person has as they're preparing your food. And a lot of times I know in Black culture, we talk about soul food, and, nowadays we're mindful that some of the foods that our elders and even ancestors used to consume were not necessarily the healthiest foods. So You know, sometimes people claim soul food to be like the unhealthy foods. But when I think of soul food, it's not about the actual food item, you know, the chitlins, the hams, the mac and cheese. It's not just about the food item. It's about the energy of the people preparing the foods. That's where the soul came from. The soul came from the hands and the hearts of the people that were preparing the foods for the family. So it wasn't just the physical food item that you were eating. You were really consuming that love. Hopefully it was love energy that was going into the food as it was being prepared. So this is going to be my wrap. As you can see, we got some carrots here. We got some cucumbers. We got some lettuce. I actually even have some spinach. I'm going to add some spinach leaves. And then you might say, well, you already got lettuce. Why are you adding spinach leaf? This is a romaine. You know, this is some sliced hearts of romaine. And you can see the romaine has light green into somewhat darker green hue. And then we have the spinach, which is very rich, dark green. So you want to eat your dark leafy greens. You want to get that high concentration of chlorophyll and the nutrition that comes from your dark leafy greens. So when you have the opportunity, look for darker as opposed to lighter. Darker is going to have more vitamins and nutrition than oftentimes lighter. That's just a good rule of thumb. So if you want lettuce, you want to go for the darker, as dark a lettuce as you prefer or have access to. So this is going to be my wrap. And this is very filling and nutritious all by itself, especially wrapped in a flour tortilla, which I have here. So the flour, there's other things that you can use to wrap your wrap, make your wrap with. You can use lettuce, you can use all types of different things to wrap. So that flour tortilla has enough starch all on its own. When I put these vegetables in there, I could even add, if I really want to, if some people look at this and say, oh, this is like bird food, this is not enough, this is not going to be filling. This is very filling for me. But if I wanted to increase the fat and protein content of something like this, I might add some hummus to it, to the wrap. I might add a layer of hummus. I could add a layer of avocado. So those are things that are going to give you more rich proteins and rich fats that will help you to feel fuller and provide those things that your body needs. A nice sauce, whatever type of sauce and seasoning I choose to add to this. And that's going to be like a nice complete meal. It's very rich, it's very filling. She adds some of this really good butter, lemon dill. You see that? Lemon dill. So you know, it's not about being perfect. You know, just do the best you can, and also still enjoy your life. You know, make sure you're enjoying it while you're doing it. Now, if you did have any vegetables or anything that you do want to cook, you want to saute, this would be a good time to do that. If I did want to cook those carrots, which I'm not today. I'm not going to cook any of the food today because I really need all the intracellular water that I can get. So I'm just going to use this to kind of add some flavor and toasting to my tortilla here. That's what I'm going to use that for. And just do it like that. Get that in there, get that off. That's going to add some flavor and some fat. It's going to add some fat and some flavor to my wrap here. So fruits, vegetables, fats. And in there you get your vitamins and minerals. Really, that's all, you know. You'll get everything you need. I would say you get most of what you need. Like you could have a healthy and sustain a healthy diet with fruits, vegetables, and fats. And where do you get your fats? Oils. And where do you find your oils? And naturally, mostly in nuts and seeds is where you're gonna find your oils. So you can add nuts and seeds to your diet, or you can just use the oils and do it like that. So that's all. I just wanted to heat this up a little bit, add a little flavor. All right, and now that I got that tortilla nice and coated, I'm gonna flip that over. So the butter is gonna be on the inside of the wrap. The flavor and all that I just added is gonna be on the inside. So then I can now come and add my, this is actually a lot for one wrap. I could probably make at least two with this. especially because these tortillas are kind of small. I usually like to have a larger tortilla, but so I'm layer with my lettuces, my carrots, and then we're gonna put the cucumbers in the center, which makes them look like they're on top, but get those cucumbers in there. Really good hydration in cucumbers. So make sure we get plenty of that in there. All right, and look, there's even enough for one more. You see that? Eating raw is not expensive. Eating a living foods diet doesn't have to be outside of anyone's budget. And here's where I add my seasonings. Okay, I'm gonna add a little garlic because I like garlic. I'm gonna add some, this is a red Alea salt from, has red Alea salt from the Hawaiian Hawaiian volcanic salt. So all salt is not bad salt. Just make sure you get good salt. We need salt in our bodies, in our diet. So just make sure you get good salt. Always gonna go with the tahini. You know, everything tastes better with a little tahini on it. And just because I like it, I'm gonna do just a dab of sesame oil because I like the flavor of sesame oil. Sesame oil is pretty good for you too. I'm gonna put a little dab of that sesame oil. We don't need too much because we already had that butter. So there's plenty of fat in the butter. All right, and that's it. So now all we have to do is wrap this baby up. And I'm not gonna try to completely close it on all sides. I'm gonna just try to close it up here on the bottom, so it'll stay nice and together as I'm eating it. Squeeze and wrap, squeeze and wrap, and there you go. If I was gonna take this to work or somewhere like that, I would wrap it in a plastic wrap and have that with me, and that's very filling and nutritious. So there you go. That's my quick and easy veggie wrap. As you can see, there's enough for one more, so there's always plenty to share. In nature, there's always an abundance. So I find that as I changed my mindset, I used to believe that, oh, it's so expensive to eat raw and I can't afford it, and you know, I had children and it's just too much. But as we got going and got comfortable in it, I find that there's always an abundance. So nature operates in abundance. That's important to remember. So when you're dealing with nature, there's always going to be an abundance. So that's it, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy my wrap. It looks like it's fresh, it's light. It could be lighter, like I said, if I didn't have this flour tortilla, but even with the flour tortilla, it's still pretty light, fresh, filling, fruitful, full of nutrition and flavor. So this is what I'm gonna be enjoying today. Let me see. All my veggies wrapped up in there. So that's it, y'all. Eat light, eat healthy. Peace, light, and love to everyone. And I'll catch you next time. So that's what it's about, you guys. It's not about a fad diet. It's not about being hip or being cool. For me, it's about being alive and doing the best that I can to have as much access to my energetic reserves, you know, my energetic ability as possible, so that I can perform my daily works and duties and the things that I want to perform with my body throughout my lifetime. So that's what I wanted to share with everyone today. Hopefully this inspires somebody to think about your eating, your meals, what a meal looks like, how you can transition more living foods into your daily food intake so you can have maximum hydration and nutrition with every meal that you eat. Because very often when we cook foods, when you cook foods during that cooking phase, when you cook them in a pot or a pan, on the stove or in the oven or however you cook the foods, any other way besides the sun cooking your food, when you cook food some other alternative way during that process, you're really basically kind of killing the food. So that's why we kind of want to limit the amount of cooked foods that we consume, because those things are no longer living. And then your body has to work extra hard to process that food and pull any type of nutrition that it can actually use to sustain or repair or build your cells or things like that. So that's why it's important to eat as much living food as possible, especially as we're getting older. Those of us who are aging, I'm 40 plus. We really don't need to consume as much foods because we're not children. We're not in the development process stage of our lives. Our bodies are mainly as developed as they're going to get. So at this point, it's about sustaining and maintaining the regenerative abilities of our cells so that we can sustain and maintain these bodies that we have to carry us through our lifetime. So that's my, Mama Minute. I know that was more than a minute, but I have I'm doing my best to be more available and share more the way that I have been working really kind of limited my capacity to be available to share. And I'm just finding time to work that into my lifestyle and be more consistent about doing these types of things, getting into this shared media and things like that. So this is just a quick glimpse. I kind of took a bit of I'm taking some time. I'm in no type of rush today, this evening, as I prepare this for myself. But if I was in a rush, these are the types of things you can prepare ahead of time. If you know you're going to be food prepping, or, you know, if you have work or whatever the next day, these are the types of things you can prepare ahead of time. Have your vegetables cut up and sliced so that you can put things together quickly and easily when you have to go. You can put it in a jar and just have a nice salad. I like wraps because, I don't know, I just really like wraps there. You know, I like to do with my hands. You know, I'm a kinesthetic type person. I love to have my hands on things. So I prefer a wrap that I can hold on to over a salad that I just eat with a fork, oftentimes. Anyone who's been following me, building some more relationships, kind of getting to know. I've been doing a lot of talking and putting things out there, but I kind of want to get to know who's out there, who's watching, who's following, who's using this information as I move forward and grow into this next chapter of my life, coming up upon my 44th birthday. Very excited about that. So that's all I have for this evening. Until next time, this is Elle Parker saying peace, love, and have a great day. Bye.